National Chairman of Young Indians, other members of the Young Indian Group, Mr. Srinivasan. A very good evening to you all. The topic, we build India on good governance, according to me, is a very relevant topic. I may have a slightly different opinion than Mr. Srinivasan expressed. What I felt was Mr. Srinivasan feels there is no difference between governance and good governance, which I don't think that really is the case. I think I must be as old as him or maybe older. I'm 74 now. I've seen good governance in this country. I've seen bad governance and no governance also in this country. I think it's a very, very relevant topic. Many people do not understand the difference in good governance and bad governance because they are entrenched in their own lifestyle. I myself, until I joined the institution of Lokayukta Karnataka, never knew the difference because whatever is the governance, it never hurt me. But when I came to the institution of Lokayukta, I saw so much of sufferings of the people, of not only no governance, malgovernance, and arrogance of power, be it political or executive. What people in power really think they are, how they function. I'd like to bring it to your notice this evening to show that there is difference between good governance and bad governance and no governance. First, let me show you the difference between the three wings of the Constitution, or the three pillars of the Constitution that was there when we accepted the Constitution of India, and thereafter the fall in the good governance. In 1946, our forefathers formed a council or an assembly called the Constituent Assembly. The mandate given to that assembly was to draft a constitution for this country. And one of the first issues that was considered by that assembly was what type of a political governance that this country should have. There were internationally many political systems. There was the monarchy, there was dictatorship. There are also sort of a democracy based on isms. And many of the elders spoke with emotions. They said, we Indians were never ever independent. We were under the rules of Rajas, Maharajas, Zamindars, foreigners. They made the law. We were never consulted. And we had to follow the law. Otherwise, we have to suffer the consequences. They pleaded, now that we are going to become independent shortly, let us evolve a system or accept a prevailing system internationally available, where every Indian feels, this country is mine. This country is literally being administered by me, and the administration is for my welfare. And there was a system available. It was called the democracy. Definition of the word democracy at that point of time was, I deliberately say at that point of time, was government of the people, by the people, for the people. I have a question to ask myself with my experience. That definition, does it hold good today? Are the people whom we elect and send them to the parliament or the assemblies, as the case may be. Are they our representatives or are they our masters? This is a question each one of us will have to answer to ourselves to find out the real fact, whether this country is democratically being ruled or not. I concede, every 5 years, or if not earlier, there is an election held in this country, and we elect our representatives. But in 50s, when the assemblies and the parliament was constituted, people came in to serve the people as a representative of the people. And they were proud of the fact that they were public servants. Many a times, their sacrifices, if you remember, it will make us feel so proud that our forefathers were truly democratic. Compare it to the present day situation. There was never ever a quarrel inside the Constituent Assembly like the ones that are taking place today. One issue came up for consideration, that was in regard to whether there should be any qualification for a person to contest election. Very many people, elders, stood up and said, right to vote is different from right to contest for elections. Every adult Indian must have a right to vote to choose his representative. But that does not hold good for people who want to contest election to be a representative. They argued, a person who wants to be our representative must have the capacity to understand the problems of the people, and he must have the capacity to go to the assembly or the parliament and convince other members that these problems can be solved in a particular manner only, and convince them. Therefore, those elders said yes, some educational qualification was necessary. And the writer of the Constituent Assembly debates writes, the editor writes at the bottom, at that point of time, one member stood up. He said, President, sir, recently we adopted democracy as the political system for this country. You promised us and told us that system meant government of the people, by the people, for the people. Today, sir, this is in 1946, population of this country is 40 crores. And 80% of the 40 crore people are totally illiterates. Whatever qualification you fix will keep that 80% out of the system of election. Are you aiming at a 20% democracy, sir? One person said that, as against many elders who wanted qualification to be fixed. Then none other than Baba Sahib Ambedkar stands up and says, this is the draft Article 83 of the World Constitution, draft Constitution. He said, I'm sorry. I did not think in the lines the Honorable Member is thinking. I think he's right. I'm wrong. I accept his suggestion that there should be no qualification fixed. Again, the editor writes at the bottom, the entire house was quiet, silent. And based on the advice of Baba Sahib Ambedkar, the Constitution did not fix any qualification for contesting, educational qualification for contesting. Certain disqualifications were fixed later under the Representation of the People's Act. That was the dignity with which the assemblies and parliament functioned those days. 4.5 years that assembly functioned, and they produced a document which, according to me, is to me more sacred than my own religious document. That was the document which our forefathers compiled it for us, and we accepted, our forefathers accepted 1950, January 26. What's happening today? Just see the proceedings that's going on in the parliament. Not only this monsoon session, but take the earlier sessions, take the earlier session before that. Is any constructive work being done? Any bills have been passed? Except maybe there is salary bills. Any other bills? Anything else has been passed through? So much so the right to food bill which was there could not be discussed. Even yesterday could not be discussed. Today could not be discussed. Therefore, before the parliament started, they had to pass an ordinance to bring it into force. That's not the democracy we were contemplating. The character of the members inside the House. The former Speaker, Honorable Somnath Chatterjee, once said, "You don't study anything, you don't listen to anything. You come here only to create ruckus." I hope your voters will not vote you back to this seat again. He is the one who said first time in the parliament that the voters should be given the right to recall the candidates. Out of frustration, people whom we elect and send them to the parliament, what do they think of themselves? I was working with Anna Hazare to draft a strong Lokpal bill. This Lokpal bill recommendation came from the first Administrative Reforms Commission in 1964. The bill has never seen the parliament until 2010 once. 8 times the draft bills were prepared but never sent to the parliament. At that point of time, we wanted to exchange our thoughts with the government. That was in 2010. An elected member of the Lok Sabha questioned us. Who are you? Unelected, unelectable tyrants, who are you to question or discuss the issue with the government? We are there. We are the ones who will discuss it. A person elected by the citizens of India questioning the citizens of India, who are you? Forgetting for a minute that the very first sentence in the Constitution of India says, "We, the people of India, accept this Constitution." That is the political system we have. Immediately 2 months thereafter, in the Parliament Lok Sabha session, one member, a former Chief Minister of the state, read a letter written by Anna Hazare to the Honorable Prime Minister. I read the first sentence in that letter, which said, "Honorable Prime Minister, do not forget the fact that you are a public servant." He questioned the wisdom of Anna Hazare. Look at this old man. What is he talking? Calling the Prime Minister of India a public servant? There has been a change in the thinking of our elected representatives. It is because of the fact, according to me, the values that were followed by their predecessors have got diluted and they are not following it. They do not think they are the citizens of the parliament, servants of the people, but I get a feeling they think they are the masters of the people. Why else would they say, recently you take it? When an IAS officer in Uttar Pradesh was suspended, for whatever reason, it was, many people questioned the Uttar Pradesh government. And one minister said, "King can do no wrong." The very kings whom we displaced by introducing democracy in this country seems to have come from another door. Take the instance recently, day before yesterday. In Maharashtra, in Nasik, an MLA was not identified to be an MLA by some toll keepers. And the language he used, which was not being mentioned in the thing, but in the show, not being shown in the TV, but it was mentioned later by other media, but could not be repeated in the public media. And one thing he said was repeated. He said, "They treated me like a common man." I know in 50s and 60s, no elected representative was paid any salary. He was just paid the traveling allowance, a place to stay was provided, and daily allowances were given. Today, a parliamentary member, for attending Parliament, it meets only for 60 to 64 days in a year. He gets 1,25,000 rupees salary all the 12 months. That's not all. After getting salary and pension also, if he loses elections later, he gets a sitting fees. Have you ever heard of a person who's getting a salary for every month and then getting sitting fees also for attending the parliament? But that is the only purpose for which he is paid the salary. Is this democracy, I ask? Is this the values that our forefathers had in that position? Take the case when Lal Bahadur Shastri resigned from railway ministership. When an accident takes place down south in Ariyallur. Today serious charges were made against the railway minister of taking 20 crore bribe, which Navy has received. He didn't quit for nearly 1 month. Where is the moral value? What's the consequences of this value? Devalued values. Is it really governance that goes on? Everybody agrees. The executive is hand in glove with the political bosses. I call them conjoined twins because if one is honest, the other can never be dishonest. How many scams have come out? See the growth of zeros in those scams. Mr. Srinivasan didn't remember the amount of money lost in 2G, I'll mention it. In 50s, there was a scam called Jeep scam. The amount lost was 52 lakhs of rupees. Of course, then there was no crore for this, lakhs were hardly any. Big money, but 52 lakhs. There was Mundra scam in LIC. There was Dalmia scam in Bharat Bank. There was Nagarwala scam. Then come to 86. You had a major scam, Bofus. 64 crores was the money that is involved. It threw out a political party from governance. 2010 comes 2 scams, Commonwealth Games, 70,000 crores of rupees. Then comes 2G, 1,76,000 crores of rupees. Then comes Colgate in 2012, 1,86,000 crores of rupees. Can any India, or any country, including India, is capable of absorbing this loss? And mind out, these scams which I mentioned must have been about 1/10 of, I'm being very generous, of the total scams that are taking place in this country. And we say we are a developed country. My little experience in development Karnataka, let me see. In 2010, there was a photograph of a lady sitting in a deserted place with a pot next to her. An article below that said, She has walked 4 kilometers in search of 1 pot of water. She gets 1 pot of water, she'll be happy by scraping the top soil, and she'll go back 4 kilometers. An entire family has to do for that water requirement with that 1 single pot of water. We are a developed country. Money is earmarked for supply of drinking water to all these villages. I'm talking about Karnataka only. What has happened? Where is this money gone? This is the position in which the administration is. Diverting for a while, Mr. George was mentioning Kerala is God's own country. We have an inscription in the local Vidhan Saudha in Karnataka which says, government's work is God's work. So you go there and ask for anything to be done, they say, go and ask the God. Exaggerations apart, the annual budget of Karnataka for 2012-2013-14 is 1,37,000 crores, 1,37,000 crores of rupees. In 1988, then the Prime Minister of this country, Rajiv Gandhi, said, out of every rupee the government gives for the benefit of the poor, only 15 paise reaches the poor. So I think people of Karnataka will get 15% of 1,37,000 crores this year. Everybody knows about it. Who's going to bell the cat? I'll give another aspect of governance. As I was mentioning, Mr. Shyam mentioned, referred to it briefly. We all think we are born human beings, a species superior to the animal class. In 2000, I got any number of examples, I will give it, but I'll stick to one. In 2010 again, there's a district called Koppal in Karnataka. A pregnant lady comes from a village with one escort to the district hospital, government hospital at Koppal. And the staff, they say, first money, then bed. She didn't have the money. She sent the person accompanying her to the village to get some money. By the time staff says, you can't sit here, please go outside and sit. She walks across the road, sits in a bus stop, and delivers a child there. Can we call these staff of the hospital human beings? They are very well paid today. They come to a government institution in the guise of serving people. And that's not the only case. There was another case you all must have heard when you heard me last or somewhere else. In 2008, a young couple came from a place called Bagalkot with a young child, 8-month-old child, and kept the child on the floor of my office and said, sir, please look after this child, I'm going to run away. I asked them to lift the child, please sit down first and tell me what it is. They said this child is born with a small part of the lower intestine missing, not grown. Consequently, it is to eat through the mouth and defecate through the mouth. The child would never ever have a future in the society. The parents were told, take this child to a super specialty hospital where the pediatric surgeon will regraft it. They took the child to Hubli Medical College Hospital. The pediatric surgeon there said, I will do it, but it will cost so much money. They said, we don't have the money to pay. Then he said, I'll make a hole near the rib cage where all the fecal matters will go through that. Can you call this person a human being? God had given him the opportunity of educating himself. He comes and joins a government hospital to serve the poor. And this is the service he renders. These are one or two of thousands and thousands of cases I have dealt in Karnataka. I gave a mining report about the irregularities that's going on in connivance with the public servants. It's a 26,000-page report. 797 officers, IAS, Forest Service, IPS, Karnataka Administrative Service officers were indicted in that. 3 chief ministers were indicted. One of them was then sitting chief minister of Karnataka. With proof. For every allegation that I made, there was proof. Fortunately for me, government didn't do anything. Supreme Court took cognizance of it. It stopped the entire mining in Karnataka and has appointed the CBI to investigate in the criminality involved in the mining. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the governance I've seen from the closest quarters. I have seen good governance also. I was telling some of the people who were having coffee with me earlier in this. In 50s, my father was a public prosecutor and government leader in the then district of South Canara, where part of Malabar was part of that district also. My father was interacting with the district collector for all revenue matters and was interacting with the superintendent of police for criminal matters. In 52, my father contested for Rajya Sabha elections after resigning that post. And when he came back after taking vote, Mr. Kaiwar, who was the district collector, is the last batch of ICS man, I think. He contacted my father and told him, Mr. Hegde, all these days, our relationship was that of a client and a lawyer. That relationship is now stopped, ceased. In future, if you want to meet me, please fix an appointment and tell me, meet me. That is the courage of the officer. He was never transferred. Nobody complained against it. Can that thing happen today even to a panchayat member? Every day, the amounts meant for hospital expenses, money is meant for the help of the poor. How much of it really reaches and how far we have solved the problem of poverty in this country. Of course, we have got good schemes. Right to food is a very good scheme. Right to education is a very good scheme. But who will implement it? We had public distribution system even before we got independence. The ration card system, I still remember when I was in Bangalore. Today in that ration card, do you get the quantity mentioned therein? Onion prices have gone up to 80, it has come down. Of course it has come down now. What's the excuse for not having we grow enough onion in this country? We have no storage place. This is good governance. What is the real cause for all this decline, especially in public administration, but otherwise socially also? Take the case today, yesterday's in Bombay incident. After Nirbhaya's incident in Delhi, every political leader came out and said we should bring laws which will prevent this type of atrocities. And thereafter, you've been reading every day after day after day about atrocities on women. Why women shy children? I know the difficulty in enforcing law and preventing this type of crime from coming. I know. But let us change some system. Let us bring some morality back into the society. Let us teach people. I think moral standards should be taught by the parents first in the house. Then there should be education. And I was studying, we had moral science by civics. Moral science told me how to behave. What is a good thing and what's a bad thing. Civics taught me how to deal with another person. What is my right vis-a-vis that person? I don't think those subjects are there. It is time we went back to the olden days and find out the best and then reintroduce it in the system. The biggest culprit in the whole fallen values is the society. Society does not investigate how a person has become rich or powerful. Society respects wealth and power. The moment a person is seen to be a rich person or a powerful person, even if it knows that the person has acquired that illegally, is prepared to honor him, sending a wrong message to the people that this is the way you got to look at people who have succeeded in life. We have to change the system. Your chairman, I think it's Srikanth said, they had some programs. You said it's audacious. Doesn't matter what it is. You think you can change the society? Take that step. There's an old Chinese proverb which says, even a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. You have to start. How far you reach is immaterial. Keeping that in mind, with a view to try and change the thinking of the youth, but I think there's a possibility to change, not the elders like me. I've been visiting colleges and schools, interacting with the students. I've been to more than 670 educational institutions till now, hoping that at least a small percentage will change today and maybe in a bigger number later in the years to come. Let us all do that. What we think is correct, what we think is necessary, let's all try and do that, whatever may be each one's idea, without which, ladies and gentlemen, I personally feel the future is bleak. I have one other hope, that all these things which I mentioned may come down, because there is no space now above for it to go. We have reached the point of saturation. I hope at least I am right there so that it will not go up and it will come down. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.